there was some guy out there, I don't even know if he signed up, maybe he came in, I told him, I'm gonna teach you everything I wish I'd known when I was rolling with Matt. Probably wouldn't have helped me, but it still would have made it a lot less painful. Being cross-side bottoms, you get crushed, you get destroyed. It just feels like a ton of weight on you. And even Hickson says that one person has to be comfortable, the other one's uncomfortable. My goal is to try and find a little less pain, a little less discomfort. It might not be 100% comfortable, but more comfortable than being crushed. Do you understand? So a lot of times too, just talking with Matt, it was like, just get under there, embrace the suck, get comfortable in the uncomfortable, and start to figure out what's going on. So I put myself there, and I still do this day purposely to start to find what's needed. And when you start to kind of embrace it and relax, you'll start to see and feel things more, especially when you make connection. And that was a really big key in shoulders. And it's going to be a big focus is the shoulders, what we do with our shoulders. And I'm going to give you a lot of concepts at first, so we might not be drilling right away, but the concepts are what's going to be the foundation for what the techniques are. The techniques could be anything, in my opinion. I mean, within some sort of relevance, but I want you to understand the concepts to apply it to the techniques, okay? So one of the things I did at camp, and like I said, connection was a big thing for me, and my brain blew up, especially like Matt and I probably talk more with Matt now than I ever have. You know, we talked before, but it's pretty constant now. But I came up with this, and this has changed. Tom's going to have an aneurysm because of this right here. But you can change that word. Matt and I have went through different things, whether it's posture, pressure, whether it's energy transfer. I forget some of the other ones. Coach Adam as well. Weight transfer. Put any of that in there, but attachment is simply, what is my attachment to that person, whether it's bottom or top? What is that attachment? And the more attachment I have, the better. And then once I have an attachment, I have to transfer energy into them. So, bro, can I use you? Like, something as simple, and I've seen Matt do this as well, but I'm attached to him, but nothing's happening here when I'm moving. I could push into him now, but if I attach to him, and I'll talk more about positive versus negative, but now there's pressure. See him, he's starting to get his base. Now, when I move, he moves, right? And if he moves into me, yeah. So I have a good connection to him now. With those two, I have good connection. Make sense? Now, with connection, I teach this to police officers too. I could have pepper spray in my eyes, I could have blood, whatever it is. Once I have connection, it could be pitch black and I can't really see what's going on. I have awareness. Awareness of what? Awareness where they're at, awareness of their body, and I break the awareness down here. It's awareness of their base, and it's yours and theirs. So base, how based out are they? Are they easily sweepable, right? I have awareness of their posture, theirs and mine. Am I in a good spot in which I can escape or survive? So my survival posture. And then limbs, theirs and mine. Is my neck exposed? Are my arms exposed? Are my arms in a spot that they're not supposed to be? Once I have their awareness and mine, it also gives me the ability to kind of control movement. And I don't mean control, like, I remember going back and teaching the old guard pass, open the legs, it still exists. Open the legs, control the hips. I tell students control the legs, right? So there they are, bear hugging the legs, and they're trying to like, coach, he can still move his legs. And I'm like, I don't mean like total dominant control. I mean just mitigate the movement, mitigate where they move. It's not freely or easily movable. Does that make sense? So connection gives me movement. I can control or mitigate that. And then it helps me speed or slow things down. One of my favorite, one memory from cross sides that makes, and it more of a top, but this teaches tempo. If you've ever been here with Matt, he'll control you going in or out. So if you try to drive into him, right, he'll drive weight. If you try to go away, he'll catch this elbow. Then you'll get the arm in and you feel, go ahead and start to roll away. You feel like, no, yeah, you're away. So you go back. The pressure gets let up to let you think that you're gone. And then all of a sudden the pressure gets really heavy. So turning it up, turning it down, controls the speed at which he rolls, and I can control the movement. Does that make sense? With that, now, so we talk about, and this is top or bottom, doesn't really matter, but we're on bottom. Once I have those three, what's the beauty of this is it makes him predictable. Now that he's predictable, it gives me the initiative to be able to sweep, submit, sit out, attack, reverse, whatever you want to call it. I have those, that's my goal, right? But if I don't have this or start with that, I'm never going to get here. So everybody always tries to, I see is like they're out of posture. They're trying to create this stuff with their arms really not having a designated spot. And I don't think anymore that the arms are what help you escape. It's your shoulders, and we'll really get into that, okay? My rules are simple. My rules are get on top and be on top, and then get my head as far away from blunt force objects as possible. Do you follow that? So punches, kicks, whatever's in his hand. So I don't want to be escaping like this because then I'm taking damage versus here. There's where my dichotomy is. Which is it, right? I guess for self-defense, it would be guard. But I guess with hands and knees too, though, when I apply pressures like Matt teaches where you drive your shoulder into the body, you make it pretty difficult to hit them. I do remember rolling with Chris, my shoulder was not connected to him. I don't know that I had the ability in that position, which gave him the opportunity to hit me as clearly as he did. One other concept that was taught to me, and I don't know if Matt still teaches it, I haven't heard it in a while, but it's the most basic, but I think speaks volumes. Board and a ball. There's a ball on the bottom and a board on top. And that kind of goes back to my whole rounding out thing. So his goal is to squish the ball, right? So if I'm on my edge, controlling inside space, he's gonna cross face me, separate my knee from my chest, and flatten me out like a ball or board. But in that, if I can ball him up, now make him a ball like me, now I can roll him. So there's that balance of postures. Can I break his posture down and turn him into a ball, or can he break my posture down and turn me into a board? She was going flat, and he goes, no, you're not receiving. Just like Frankel and Coach Frankel, Coach Thornton, and Whittier teach receiving posture from Mount. There's this receiving posture, and I think those were the words he used, from cross sides. I'm flat on my back, which I'm not saying you won't be, but she was going from here and then working, right? Versus when he was passing, what he had her do, so they can see it, what he had her do was she was here and she was balled up. And she was not allowing herself to be flattened out. So as Hickson drove into her, she stayed balled, and then it was easy to roll because she just stayed like this, like a ball. Versus going like this and then going, dead in the water. So there's your ball and board. Then you talk about arms inside and outside or blended. And what I mean by that is inside is here, right? I got inside space. This is good. And I don't want him to split my arms. I know Matt teaches that. But what happens is if this arm gets out, now I've got kind of a blend inside and outside. Or now he has cross face. Now I've got kind of both outside. Does that make sense? Or I could have this arm here. So I still have a blend. Not necessarily inside space, but better. And you got to work with what you've got, okay? And you got to give your arms something to do. They cannot just hang out there. And you can't just, can you? Yes. Grab gis and pull them, but what happens when there is no gi and you offset them this way? I want to see you, which we're going to really enforce, is escaping with your shoulders. If anything you get out of this entire seminar is I really want you to just have more awareness of your shoulders and what your shoulders are doing, okay? And I taught this at camp based on this, and I taught it as all connections matter, meaning you cannot forsake a connection. Go back to my half guard analogy. First connection is here. If I don't put weight into this leg, and I get lazy with this leg while I'm playing half guard, he's just going to step it out and go. So how am I making that connection? I'm taking this foot and planting it on the ground. So that is first connection to the ground, right? Then I'm going to drive into my hip, which is driving into this shoulder now, so that I can get pressure on this leg. Now when he tries to lift that, and it's not, I'm not straining, I'm just putting weight on it. Doesn't make it impossible, but it's now I have awareness of when that leg moves. I somewhat mitigate it and the tempo of how that leg moves, right? Now he cross faces me. Holy cow, this is horrible. So I'm gonna split the weight here now and pull your arm out. Go ahead, good. Now I'm gonna shrug my shoulders. I'm gonna look at my shoulder, or my arm here, and now I'm gonna transfer weight here. Pull your arm out. I said pull your arm out. I'm working on it. I had a lot of time, right? Agreed? So again, I can feel what he's doing. So if I was waiting for that and baiting for that, and he started to pull that out, I go, okay, now I'm inside, right? But I want to sweep him because I want to be on top. So connection 1, connection 2, connection 3, connection 4. Now I have a sweep. So all of those connections work. If I fail at 1, I don't connect here. And even then, he can still pry this out. But if he does, it just gives me guard. Right. But again, he feels this pressure and then wants to push that leg out. If I forego this connection and then he posts, okay, I have inside space, but I would have rather had the sweep. Right? Worse, if I forego that connection and I sprint, oh God. I started applying the bracing to my escaping, and I feel it made a huge difference. Huge. What do I mean by bracing? So these guys, come over here. These guys, I brought in a special guest, a good friend of mine who I knew he was strong, but I didn't realize how strong. He was like, at the time in his heyday, whatever it was, 10, 15 years ago, he was in the top, one of the top 2 strongest men in the world. His numbers to this day are still in the top 4. And there were some other set of numbers that were in the 10. The guy squatted 1179, yeah, benched 825, and deadlifted 785. Just a monster. And he talks about what he calls rooting, which is the feet, which you can apply with your bridging. He talks about bracing, which is what I want to talk about. It's connecting your lower half to your upper half. Because how many times do you see people when they go to sweep, bridge, hip heist, whatever, the upper body goes and the lower body's over here, and then they try to torque this over and they pull muscles and the ribs and everything else. But if you brace, basically belly breathing, and you blow out, you see, you're blowing out and you're creating this girdle, I'm now connected to my lower half. It's stronger. My spine's stronger and everything's stronger. He can feel, so even doing these sweeps here, if I do it without bracing, and I go here, just give me energy, right? And I go here, you'll feel, right? If you can feel it, but close your eyes. You're gonna feel me brace. I'm gonna blow my belly out. You feel that now, right? Yep. And now I should have the same kind of connection, but when you drive into me now, do you feel the power? The power?
Yes.
There's more in it. It's less exertive to me. It takes a while. I'm still practicing with it, so I'll give it to you and see what you can come up with. But when you connect that lower half to the upper half, it makes those sweeps easier, and you're less strain on your belly. Flat back versus edge. Flat back, 4 on the floor. Believe it or not, I can protect my arms better. It's harder to pry those out. There's got to be more work from the guy on top. Con, I've limited my movement, and I have to get to an edge eventually. I have to get to an edge to pull guard. I have to get to an edge to sweep. I have to get to an edge to go to all 4s. I'm going to have to get to my edge. Getting to my edge now, once I'm here, now gravity is working against me versus for me, right? Arms getting killed, especially if I'm reaching, getting killed. It's super important, not only to where those elbows are, but see that's still away. Now keeping it here, a little bit harder. But now I can move. So the trade-off is my arms are a little bit more susceptible, but I have better movement to get away. So I have to be cognizant of that. Okay? And I'm going to talk about escaping the shoulders and the movements that we have and whatnot. But all in all, do we understand this beautiful mind post-it thing? Remember cross sides, I mean, you can do, so there's going to be knee ride, there's going to be north-south. But I'm sticking mainly with the cross-side movement. And then if Matt still remembers it, because I still play it, and so does Tom, the 10 and 2 game. Right? I know that kind of takes your shoulder alignment out, but there's still the 10 and 2, and it's still there. It's intermediary, so 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, right? Between north-south and cross-sides. And the reason why he did that was to stay away from the beloved swamp over here, because I don't want to get caught in guard. But that's still a cross-sides version. It actually I think it aids in escaping for the bottom person. You have to play 10 and 2 rather well. What do you have? You have cross face and underhook, blocking out the guard with my knee, right? Weight off my hips, pulling my arms in. You have classic, over the shoulder, blocking out the hip, and then you have forklift, right? Pretty much that. And I don't know if you remember teaching it this way, but Matt would always say, if the person does this without killing the inside arm, they either know nothing about Jiu Jitsu or have no respect for your game. Then he would proceed to roll with me like this. So, what do you think he was telling me? Matt showing that power shrimp, right? Stand up real quick. If you haven't seen it, I'm just gonna do it super quick. Right here, hands on the shoulder. Just watch your wrists, right? Here's my shoulder pinned and stapled to the mat. Foot's connected, right? I have good connection to the ground, but am I connected to myself right now? I'm not, because look, and he's connected to me, that's for sure. And I'll probably get this out of sheer muscle. That sucks. Good. Go back. Now, I'm not lifting or pushing. I am going to bring my arm like into the quadrants that I talked about. I'm kind of reaching for across my body. Go ahead, keep it on there. And I'm just going to now engage my shoulder. There's not much effort in that. You hear me talking, right? Now my shoulder's connected. I'm going to brace. Now, when I blow out, I can still talk, so I don't have to hold my breath. Holding my breath is going to make me tired, okay? So I'm connected to me now in 2 spots, okay? Now, this is still work. Put my foot out, and then I power shrimp, and I can move him. Still, to me, a lot of effort. So I made it a little bit easier, and what I do is I call it bridge tall. So this is bridge up, this is bridge in, this is bridge tall, okay? Bridge tall. What happens is that changes the angle. Meet resistance, change the angle. Huh? Like that? Come on, Zach. All right. I'm gonna, thank you, I'll pay you later. All right, bridge up, see the change? Now when I do this together versus just going in, up and in, very easy. It's much like, here, it's holding me back, hold me back, hold me back, bridge in. So I go up and in. Same thing on the ground. One more time. Here, this would be even if we were fighting over weapons, right? The minute I go here, now I meet his elbow. This is just like guard passing, right? Same thing, go back up. So, up, because it changes. I'm not going in, change the angle, in. Okay, now scooting in and scooting out. I was showing this to Zach. So scooting in and scooting out is something just like it sounds. I'm just scooting in and I'm scooting out. So it depended because it's easier because his torso is shorter than Zach's, right? So what happens is I go here and I'm right on his hip and he rolls. I'm not necessarily expecting that. I mean, this could be my arm or whatever, but let's just say I can't get to that hip because I know. So right here, I'm driving in and I'm just holding him in place. You can hear me talking. I've got a good frame. I will add, if you guys can see my foot posted, stand up real quick. One big error I see people do is they don't keep their knee in line with their ankle. I'll see them bridging like this. And they're trying to bridge and they're not getting a good bridge at all. And they're trying to press and their knees bent or their foot's down and the ankle's twisted this way. You're denying yourself power. Okay? So I keep that in line. Even when I turn my hips over, I keep it in line with that. So again, I'm here, I'm driving in. Now what I'm gonna do is, you see, I move my hip in, kind of like a reverse shrimp, but I move my hip in and then my shoulder, and then look. So I scooted in. I scooted in. Or I can scoot out. Scoot in, scoot out. You can also, I think it's Coach Glenn, side bend. Side bend is gonna help you change the angle of that shoulder to maybe that you can now hip walk. Side bend in conjunction with reverse shrimp, shrimp. All of these motions, you can blend them off of one another. The final one's hip switch, and I'll leave that to the end, but let's just, maybe a couple minutes, scoot in, scoot out, feel that pressure. Do you need to see it again? Okay. With and without. So, bridge, I've got connection. I'm breathing, I'm good to go. I move my hip, shoulder, and then I can lift, right? Without him, bridge, scoot, in, bridge, scoot out, right? That could have given me space to pull guard, but I'm just scooting and using that pressure. Yeah?
So when you were talking about bringing your shoulder blades together, does that apply to like most or all of these?
So, ball and board. Am I more ballish, right?
Yeah.
Versus trying to roll over my shoulder, right? Versus, do you see? And then here, balling up this way too at the waist. Ball. Versus stand. I think I do this. I think I see Matt do it too. Or Chris out, one of the two. He goes, not pressure player. You get these guys that just try to rip your legs left, right, and all the way because they're I saw, because they ball up on the ground. Go ahead and just move me and twist me. Throw me all over the place, right? Yeah. Yeah, literally just pass. But the minute I expand, put out my, you ever seen those trucks where they want to create the big base and they put those big arms out and lock them out? Go ahead, try to move me now. I said move me.
I'm trying.
So I flattened out on the mat versus balling. You have to learn the rules before you can learn to break the rules, okay? You got to learn them first. Then you get good at them, and then you can learn how to break them and bend them. They're guidelines at that point, okay? You got to learn the rules. So I said don't lift your feet. That's your lifeline. But wait a second, you're pendulum now. I just broke the rule. But there is momentum that's helping me with that frame, right? As I'm swinging my legs, this is the movement because I'm moving down versus trying to bridge up, bridge in, walk, right? So I can lift here based upon pressure and proper movement that we talked about. I can't do this. This isn't going to do anything for me. When I do this, you can see how I just slide down the mat. So I can. And now your question was, when is the time to do that? I think it's going to be based upon how, because that's where we're going to get into the fundamental, well, top and bottom. I got the bottom there right now. I didn't get the time to write the top. It's going to depend on how they're holding you down. It's totally going to depend on how they're holding you down. And depending upon the frames that I get in, that will depend it, right? If I don't have double unders necessarily, I'm not necessarily going to pendulum unless I'm trying to like maybe soul stealer to try and get my elbow down, right? To get that elbow in, drive with this shoulder, drive this shoulder down.